Hello, and welcome to Medusa's Kitchen. I'm Chef Greg. We're starting off with fettuccine Alfredo, and we're going to do three different types today. What I've done ahead of time is I've cooked my pasta. I'm using fettuccine. Cooked it for 7 minutes in boiling water with a little bit of salt. We're going to take about 6 ounces of that and about 6 to 8 ounces of heavy cream. We're going to get our flame on high. I'm going to season with just a touch of salt, and I've got some fresh ground pepper here in my nice little mortar and pestle. And we're going to let that come to temperature. We're also going to make a chicken Alfredo and a broccoli Alfredo, so you've got some different options to use. What I've done with the chicken is I seasoned it about 30 minutes ago so it can kind of tenderize and get some flavor in there besides just the chicken. That's been sitting for about 30 minutes, so I'm going to cut that on my yellow cutting board, which signifies that it's for chicken. And when I cut this up, I want it in bite-sized chunks. Okay, I want chunks that they're not too big where I don't have to worry about cutting them. Now there's three different ways that I know of how to do a chicken Alfredo. You can do it with raw chicken and start it off in a pan like I'm going to show you today, or you can use leftover cooked chicken from fried chicken night, or you get a rotisserie chicken from the store. You can use that chicken meat. You would use it like you would use the broccoli, which I will show you. You would add it at the last minute. And then the third way, which we used to do it at the restaurant, was we would grill the chicken breast over our wood burning grill, and then we would slice that up and put it on top of just a plain Alfredo. And that seems to be the best. We'll do that show when we get outside this spring. So again, I've got this nice organic chicken breast. You can use chicken tenderloins. If you use the chicken thighs, they tend to be a little bit tougher. They need, they're nice and juicy, but they take on a little bit of a chew. But you certainly can use chicken thighs if you'd like. So I'm going to get rid of this cutting board, put this in my sink, and wash my hands. And I've got my pasta here now. You see that I have got this pasta. It's not covered by the cream. It's just coming over the ridge of it. So if you're making it for more than 2 or 3 people, you can make it in any amount you want. Just make sure that the cream is below the level of the pasta. What you're waiting for is a good, vigorous boil, because we're going to thicken this up with egg yolk and cheese. And we really don't want that in there until we're ready to finish this. In the restaurant, this is called an a la minute dish, and which means to the minute. A lot of dishes in a restaurant situation are a la minute. We do all the prepping all day. We cut the vegetables, we cook the broccoli, cut the chicken, we have everything ready, so when it comes time for dinner service, it's an a la minute dish. We just do this right away. So we're going to make a plain Alfredo first. First we got 6 ounces of heavy cream, 6 ounces of cooked pasta. I cooked it a minute less than what it said on the box, because obviously it's finishing in the pan here. And now we're going to add about an equal amount of cheese, 6 ounces. And an egg yolk, and this is my little composting container. I like to compost, and I do it without getting my hands dirty. I learned in chef school that you wanted to separate an egg like this, because the oil from your hands got into the egg whites and caused a little bit of a deflation there. So, and you don't have to wash your hands all the time. All right, we've got the cream, pasta, the salt, the pepper. We're using really good grated cheese. This one's made in Wisconsin. It's an award winner, and an egg yolk. And what you want to do here is you want to shake the pan with your left hand and mix with your right at the same time. Get that egg in the middle, broken up. And that's why they call it an a la minute dish. That is Alfredo pasta, done. Now, we've got our nice Medusa platter here. All right, did you see how quickly that dish came out? I mean, it was just incredible. Now, what I like to put on my Alfredo, besides a nice fresh ground pepper, is I like to put a few capers. Capers add just a little bit of tartness. Kind of breaks up that rich cream. And that's what we're looking at, pasta Alfredo. That's the first one. Now for the second one, I'm going to heat up my nice pan here. I've got my seasoned chicken. I'm going to season my flour a little bit. Going to flour my chicken well. One of the keys on making this chicken Alfredo is, using quality ingredients. Great cheese, a good imported pasta, fresh farm eggs. And you want to get the flour completely off this chicken, because any extra flour will burn in the pan, and that'll affect your cream sauce, and we don't want that. Well, we've had this burner on now for about a minute or so, and we're just going to put a little bit of oil in there. Let me wash my hands off a little bit. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of unsalted butter. And we always put the oil into a hot pan, unless we're cooking garlic, of course. Now I add my chicken, which I shook off really nicely. There's no excess flour there. And I've got about, I'd say, about 10 ounces of chicken. And we're going to let that sit. We got the heat on high, we got olive oil and butter. What's going to happen here is the chicken is going to cook. It's going to create a nice coating, a nice crust. And then we're going to take it out, put our cream and pasta in there, and add our chicken back to this dish. Well, it's been about 8 months since I've sold the restaurant. I've been wanting to get started with this YouTube thing for a while. And I'm glad that we're finally getting it kicked off here. We're going to do all the recipes from the restaurant, all the recipes from the Medusa cookbook. Anybody's who's having a hard time not getting their Caesar salad, we'll be doing the Caesar salad recipe. The Greek salad dressing. In the spring, once the weather gets nice, we'll go outside and I got the wood burning grill from the restaurant that the current owners didn't want, so I of course wanted it, so I'm happy about that. Now you can see I've turned the chicken. It's starting to get a nice golden brown, as you can see here. And we're going to take that to about 80% there. And I only used enough oil to brown the chicken. I'm not pan frying it and, you know, a 1/4 inch of oil. I mean, you can see here, that's a pretty dry pan. You know, there's just a little bit of oil in there. Now, at this point, you can kick it up a notch. You could add a little crushed red pepper. And we're talking like a 1/4 teaspoon, a whisper. Just a little bit of heat to perk up those taste buds. Now that it's got its coating, you know, we're able to move it around without knocking all that stuff off. And the same thing with the cream with the chicken and pasta. You don't want to cover the chicken. You just want it to come up about halfway. The chicken is about 60% cooked right now, and we're going to simmer it the rest of the way. I'm turning the heat down just a bit. You can do this with turkey. You can do this with shrimp or scallops. The shrimp, crab meat, you can put the crab in at the last minute. Kind of like how we're going to do the broccoli Alfredo at the end of this. So, as you can see, you know, we've got chicken. And you know, you don't want to guess. You know, if you're an experienced cook, you can feel by touching. If you need to, you know, you take the biggest piece that you have and you cut it to see where you're at. And you can see that this chicken is just medium, so it'll probably take 1 minute at the most because we cut it in bite-sized pieces. But you always want to make sure that your chicken is cooked all the way when the dish is done. I mean, there's nothing more embarrassing than putting out a raw chicken dish. It's just something you don't want to do. Okay, as you can see, the chicken is done. We're going to throw in a little bit of pasta. We're going to do about half the amount that we used on the original Alfredo. I'm going to use about 4 ounces to 5 ounces of really good quality Parmesan cheese. I'm going to separate my egg and put it in that little nest. Throw my eggshell in my compost there. And like before, we stir and shake at the same time. Now, you have a situation here where it's a little bit too thick. Just add just a touch of cream, a little white wine, some water, and that'll thin that out down just enough to make it not like a big ball of glue. And see how nice that is? Nice and creamy. The chicken is cooked. And we're going to put that on a Medusa platter. By the way, I'm making these platters. You know, I've been taking pottery class since I sold the restaurant, so I wanted to use my own stuff. It's really cool too, isn't it? I'm just really excited about it. So anyways, again, now, you know, with these a la minute dishes, they need to be eaten right away as well. You know, this is a dish that you make and you serve. It's not a dish that you make ahead of time. I mean, you certainly could, but heating it up will tighten it up even more. So this is one of those dishes that you want to eat as you make it. All right. Now we're going to make the broccoli Alfredo. And we use about 6 ounces of pasta, which I cooked ahead of time. Like I said, this was a fettuccine. It was a 7-minute cook time, so I cooked it for 6 minutes. I shocked it in cold water until the pasta was cold to the touch. Then I drizzled just a touch of olive oil on it to keep it from sticking together. Touch of salt, touch of pepper. The reason why I salt my Alfredos is because those really good quality Parmesan cheeses aren't salty. Some of the Greek cheeses that are considered like Parmesans, like Mazithra, very salty. But these high quality Parmesan cheese, Parmigiano Reggiano, this is a Stravecchio from Wisconsin, the cheese flavor is delicious, but they're not salty. So that's why I season my Alfredos with salt and pepper. Now on this broccoli Alfredo, you can use a number of different vegetables. If you're using peppers, I would do them raw and cut them in pieces or strips and put them in with the cream and the pasta. So by the time the cream is boiling and you're ready to cheese and egg it, the peppers are still firm but cooked. Broccoli, I cooked ahead of time. And the way that I found cooking broccoli perfectly was to put it into boiling water for 7 minutes exactly. So what I did was I cut this broccoli up, I put it in boiling water, it cooked for 6 minutes for this application because I'm going to be boiling it in the cream for another minute or less. So I don't want the broccoli to disintegrate and turn my Alfredo green. Unless that's the way you like it, then it's certainly okay. So same way with the pasta, I shocked the broccoli after 6 minutes, really cold ice water until it was cold, and then just drained it. And here it is now ready to be used. And like I said, if you were doing mushrooms, you would saute the mushrooms like I did the chicken. You would saute the mushrooms ahead of time, season with salt and pepper, add the cream, add the pasta, add the cheese, add the egg, and you'd have a nice mushroom Alfredo. So as you can see, this cream is starting to boil. We're getting close. While we're waiting for that to come to a boil, one of the things you need to do in a restaurant is you need to taste everything that's going out. What's really nice about the chicken, when you season it ahead of time, it's like brining it. It makes it tender, delicious. It has a seasoned flavor. We never put salt and pepper on the tables at the restaurant because I always felt that part of being a good chef was making sure the food was seasoned perfectly when it went out. And rarely did we get someone to ask for salt. Delicious, tender, cooked all the way. Another one of my platters. This is the same size platter that I used to put the chef's choices on. So all right, so you can see the cream is boiling now. We're going to add our roughly about 6 ounces of Parmesan cheese. It's like 2/3 of a cup. The way this is my compost bucket. Going to be putting a garden together this year. So the girls and I are now composting all our vegetables, and it's amazing how much vegetables you can you throw away when you actually see it. It's amazing. Okay, like the first two Alfredos, you shake with your left, you mix with your right. It's an a la minute thing. By the time you see the color of the egg yolk gone, it's done. I mean, add the broccoli. The broccoli is already cooked, and it just needs to have the chill taken out of it. And again, like I said earlier, if you think that this is a little bit too tight for your taste, just add a little cream. Now we're going to put this on the nice Medusa platter. A little fresh ground pepper. I found that the best way to get the pepper out of my mortar and pestle was to use the wine pours that we use at the restaurant, the Medusa wine pours. You know, these roll up and they go into wine bottles like so. I was showed this trick by my big sister out in California, and I loved them, so we got them for the restaurant. We've got a bunch of these that we'll probably be selling on the website. So, broccoli Alfredo. Simple, delicious, a la minute. Again, make it right before you want to eat it, and it'll be delicious. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you on the next show of Medusa's Kitchen with Chef Gregory. Thank you, and God bless.